See all of the different attendees. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. So this is the 12-week MBA information session. We'll have you with us today for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many questions come in at the end. My name is Gina Curran. I am the program director for the 12-week MBA, and happy to share I am also an alum of the program. With me today, I am so thrilled and so lucky to have two amazing people with me. I have Kyle McCall, who is a fellow alum, and I'm going to have Kyle hop on in a second and introduce himself, and Nathan Kracklauer, who there's so many things about Nathan. Let me slow my brain down to introduce him properly. He not only is the academic director for the 12-week MBA, so the person I get to go to when I have any questions about the content and how do we weave everything together. Nathan also is the Chief Research Officer for Abilitie, the parent company for the 12-week MBA. And it's never far from reach. Nathan is the co-author of the book, The 12-Week MBA, who he co-wrote with Bjorn Billhart, the CEO of Abilitie. So Nathan, thank you so much for being here today with us. You are going to add so much value to these 30 to 45 minutes that I have. So let me just hop on quick. Kyle, can you hop on and introduce yourself? And I'm going to hand it over to Nathan for a second so that everybody can meet both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gina. I am Kyle McCall. I am a proud alumni of the 12-week MBA program. It's been, I don't know, like 5 years now or so since I attended the program, and it's been added value to my life personally and professionally ever since. When I first started, I was a clinician, and then I took this program. I got moved into a management role because of some of the skills that I learned and I was able to articulate on my resume, which made me stand out among every other applicant for the management role. Since then, I've started a practice where I've been able to continue to see patients, hire other therapists, and do some really good work for the community in the mental health world. And I joined in a law enforcement capacity as well in my region, serving as a law enforcement officer. But again, the skills that I learned with this program has set me apart from the other officers in the agency, being able to make some real impact within the systems that we have within our regional community. So it's just been one value after another in my life. So I've been very grateful to stay in touch with Abilitie team and the 12-week MBA team.
Kyle, you are the perfect example of someone who comes into this program and just like makes the most out of it. Truly, you have done so much. So thank you again for joining us today. I'm going to be calling on you a bunch of times to just kind of put your input in. And Nathan, let me let you introduce yourself to everyone as well.
Thank you, Gina. And Gina already introduced me as much as can be said about me. So thank you very much for
You're
that.
welcome.
I look forward to answering any questions you have about any aspect of the program, particularly about our methodologies, what we teach, why we teach that, and why we think it's important, how it will help you advance your career.
No, that's great. And so just to start off, why are you here? You're probably someone who's looking to maybe a promotion within your current role, right? Maybe you're a manager and you're looking to level up to take on some direct reports. Maybe you're an individual contributor right now. Maybe you're someone like me who's looking to completely switch careers and switch industries. I have been in education my whole life, but I was in the K through 12 space for a very long time. Or maybe you're someone who's, uh, leaving the military and moving into the civilian sector. There's so many different reasons. We've had lawyers, we've had doctors, business owners. So everyone here is welcome, and there's a place and a space for everyone to learn. This is very much a program that is cohort based. It's a cohort based leadership program. It's interactive. We work together as teams as we move through the program. And again, I have so much to share with you. I do want to say if you have questions throughout the session, please do put them into the Q&A tool. We are monitoring that, either the Q&A or the chat. We're monitoring that as we go through so we can answer your questions as they come in. Okay, let me move on here to talk about a little bit about knowledge and AI. So I don't know about you all, but AI is a little bit intimidating to me. I remember when I first heard about it in November of 2022, I was actually sitting in a 12-week MBA session and the participants were talking about AI and I thought, uh-oh, what is this, right? So as the machines get smarter, our human skills are going to matter even more. And how we ask those questions and how we interact with the technology is going to really affect our careers. So many of us are wondering, how do we level up? How will my life be affected? And how can I earn a living and build the life that I would like to live, right? And so this program helps to sort of unravel a lot of what can be very scary and intimidating to those of us. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a coder, but I can go on to ChatGPT and do things that maybe an engineer can do that I wouldn't have been able to do a few years ago. But how are we showing up and how are we asking those questions in our everyday lives and in our careers is going to be so critical and so important as we move through this new world. Um, what are the skills of the future? How do I create job security for myself and for my family, security for my family? I don't know about all of you, but I have three kids, two of whom are in college right now. So job security is important for me. And also, what kinds of conversations am I having with my, 22-year-old and 21-year-old daughter about what the world will be like when they graduate college within the next few weeks and the next year, right? And also, how are we advancing ourselves in the workforce? What kind of opportunities are out there for us? And are we in a situation where we can seize those opportunities? So much here to think about as we go through. Um, you know, Here at Ability, when we think about the skills of the future, these are really the ones that are most critical, right? Critical thinking, financial literacy. How are you collaborating with your peers and with senior leaders and C-suite leaders at your company? Um, are you able to ask the right questions? Are you able to judge what's true, what's relevant? But can I identify risks and trade-offs? Can I apply that to my real life, real world issues in my job and outside of my job even? Am I able to think strategically? Can I execute? Can I analyze results? Can I look at data, right? In my last role, I had to do so much with data all the time, dashboards and data. And are you able to earn trust, not only from your peers and leaders, and how do you earn trust? Thinking about ethics and empathy and how you communicate and how you show up in the work world. Um, these skills and many more allow us to level up, to skill up in our career. How do you level up? That's the big question. Well, we are here to help you answer that question today. The 12-week MBA is a mini MBA that fits into your life. When I went through, I was working full time. Actually, at that time, owned my own company. Kyle can relate. And I have three children, three who were all at that time still in school, high school, middle school. I fit it into my life. You will talk about the schedule later and the importance of showing up at the sessions and being able to participate. But I think as a teacher, the one thing I used to be a high school biology teacher many moons ago, and the one thing I know for sure is that learning is inherently social. We learn best when we are with others and we learn by doing. When you can apply those skills and actually see them in real life, or in what we are using simulations in this program, and then look at the consequences of those decisions and get a chance to practice when the stakes aren't quite as high because it's a simulation. You learn by doing and you learn when you're with others. You're going to, in this program, be not only in team-based activities, you'll be doing a group project, and you will be learning alongside peers from all around the globe, from all different industries, with our world-class faculty, which I absolutely can't wait to tell you about them because Nathan belongs to our faculty as well. Nathan, you do so many things, but Kyle and I a little bit too. We'll talk about the faculty and the experience we had with them. I do also want to say here that, again, when I made a pivot in my career, I thought about going back to school for the third time. I already have a bachelor's degree. I already have a master's degree. I thought about going to get my MBA. And I looked at the price and I looked at the commitment, a year or two, 40 to $80,000, depending on how I did it. And I thought, I don't need another formal degree. What I need is knowledge. And so right now, the spring cohort, I hope you're here to join the spring cohort for 2350. You absolutely cannot beat that price. Unfortunately, the way things are in the world, we will be increasing that price by the fall. So if you have any desire to do this program, do it now. It is the number one thing you can do in your career to really improve your skill set. Okay, let me move on to talk a little bit about the actual 12-week MBA. And what you see here are some awards that we've won and also, articles that have been written about us in Bloomberg and Forbes. But look at the number of learners that Ability has worked with over the years. So Ability is an international leadership development company. And Bjorn Bilhart, our CEO, he started this company sort of, I would say when Bjorn was at Harvard Business School, it was a project he was working on, these simulations and how do people learn best. He started his first company in 2001, Inspire, and then in 2015, he started Ability. And Ability is the company that serves so many different Fortune 500 companies. You see some of them on this slide. Another company, in addition to Coca-Cola, Dell, Marriott, that we work with is McKinsey. We've all heard of McKinsey. It's one of the leading management consulting firms. And we use a version of the 12-week MBA with all of their new hires around the world. And we're very proud of that fact. So you will be experiencing something very similar to what all of these other folks have gone through. Okay, so let's take a look. What is oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. And how's my screen share? Am I still okay over there, Nathan?
All good. All good.
Okay, great, great. So let's go this way. Um, Technology always is super fun, everybody. What is a 12-week MBA and how does it fit into your life? I'm going to pause for a second here and talk about Kyle. And I would love actually, Kyle, for you to come off mute and just share, like, what made you choose this program and how did it fit into your life?
So, like you, Gina, we have very similar kind of mentalities with this stuff. I also had a graduate degree at the time of me looking into this type of program, and I was looking at, do I go back to school again, get another master's degree? That was not exactly something I was super excited about due to the time commitment and also the cost as well. And I felt like I was just looking for some of the skills. And this program came about because I was a part of the Young Chamber and they were advocating for this program within the chamber, and it was really interesting to me. So what I was looking for was some of those hard skills, something that I could articulate on my resume, that I learned something more formal. I was participating in some of these simulations that they were talking about, which was really interesting to me as well. And I found that all these simulations, the faculty that we engaged with, some of the curriculum that we were a part of was all directly and immediately applicable to my current job. And you might think like this, I wasn't working in a business role. I was not working at a management
Right.
company, consulting, accounting, nothing like that. I was working for behavioral health agency, local mental health authority. And so across multiple different like fields of work, you can still apply the same exact stuff. So, and that was what was interesting to me was the collaboration across the world, getting to meet people across the world, and also getting to have some hands-on experience. So, if that answered your question.
No, that totally does. And Kyle, I always tell this story. I remember when I joined, it's a little embarrassing, everybody. When I joined the cohort, I had 25 connections on LinkedIn, and I am not kidding. Because at the time I was doing a job that was in person, and everyone, I knew was a teacher, and we didn't really use LinkedIn, and everybody I knew lived within an hour or two of me. This program opened me up to a whole big wide, beautiful world. And now I think I have 1,500 connections on LinkedIn. Almost all of them have come through the 12-week MBA and my connections to participants in the program. So again, like leaning into those connections and truly making those authentic, take the time to schedule a virtual coffee chat with the people in the program. You would be amazed at how much you will learn from everyone else in this program. So more to come on the alumni network later, but I do want to pass it over now to Nathan, who can talk us through what you'll be learning, the journey, if you will, the learner journey, and the different modules throughout.
Yeah, so we have designed this program really around our 20-year experience of working with major companies and seeing what kinds of leadership development programs they want to create for the people within those companies, especially around key transition points that people make. And one of the most important ones is moving into your first managerial position. You're an individual contributor, you want to move up. The companies support those people. And we had this extensive experience with all sorts of different companies, different sizes, different industries, different parts of the world, in fact, all around the world. And so what we recognize is that there were certain kinds of themes that came up again and again as necessary skills, necessary knowledge, and really necessary mindsets for being a good manager, that these companies were seeking to build, and where they were also finding that there were key gaps, of course, because a few things prepared people for developing those mindsets, those skills and abilities. And so they really came down to like four core areas. One would be, how do I manage other people? If I am a people manager and I have direct reports, how do I keep them engaged? How do I keep them motivated? So we have a module in the program that is dedicated to team management. And like all of our modules and all of our methodology, it culminates then also in an activity, a business simulation where you get to apply that. We'll say more about that in a moment. Uh, a lot of what you do as a manager or even as an individual contributor is try to find, coalitions and move things forward. Sometimes when you don't have formal authority as a manager, maybe you're doing it with your peers as a manager. Maybe you're still an individual contributor, but looking to have greater influence within the company. So the topic of influence is again another core component within the program. One of the biggest components, though, and what we have found again and again is what the participants who come to our program most appreciate it, because it's maybe also the largest gap that people tend to have, is in understanding what makes a business work from a numbers perspective. What are the actual measures that we use to see if a company is successful or not? Most of them are financial numbers, but not necessarily all of them. And how do we, in our different roles, embedded within our different functional areas, how do we contribute to the creation of economic value in a company? How is it measured? What is the terminology we use? The terminology we use also to communicate and coordinate across functional boundaries. And how do we make good decisions that actually lead to economically and financially successful outcomes? So that's our business acumen component. And that actually takes up a fair portion, like the largest portion of the program. But it's not just about the numbers, of course. It's also about understanding how, once you've made a sound business decision, how do you get that executed, and how do you move an entire team forward through the execution, through collective decision making, getting everybody on board, moving in the same direction, and executing one strategy in a coherent way. So we have a further module on strategic thinking and decision making. So there are these four essential themes. They're not equally weighted just based on our experience of where the interest lies, where the gaps lie, but that's the core of what we do. And these are the timeless and universal subjects that matter as a manager. There are many other interesting components, but the reason that we have a 12-week mini MBA is because we've distilled things down to what we think are the most important ones that are going to apply to you in any company, any position, company of any size, and that you'll be able to use pretty much immediately on the job, even in your current job. And this allows us to go deep on this small selection of four key themes.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. I mean, there's so much here to talk about, and we'll get into some of this as we go through the next few slides. What is a case challenge, and what is a simulation, that sort of thing. What makes a 12-week MBA so special? So I mentioned before this real world practice without real world consequences. So one story I can remember, we have something called the Enterprise Challenge. And without giving away too much, because I'm sure Kyle remembers this one too, it has you on the edge of your seat, sweating bullets, because these are some major, major decisions that you have to make as a team. And there's a little bit of a time constraint and a time crunch, just like real life, right? Things are getting sort of thrown at you that you don't expect. But I remember a participant once, was playing the role of CEO in this particular, quarter of the sim, and there was a decision that had to be made, and he made a decision that he deeply, deeply regretted. And I remember him talking to me after the sim that day and saying, I am so glad that that just happened to me because my fear is that I could have done that in my real job and I could have actually like been fired for that, like, or lost a lot of credibility. And so you're getting to practice very real things without, the risk of it affecting your actual job, your actual career. So I don't know, Kyle, do you have any like moments that stick out to you from when we did a sim
Oh
that
gosh.
like you still remember without giving away too much of our secret sauce, I guess?
No, I mean, I'll tell you just in general, like each sim, the thing that was so surprising to me was like you're making decisions. You feel actually a little nervous because like the decisions are there, and then there's an immediate outcome a lot of times, and then I just remember my heart sinking sometimes. Like, why did that happen? Like, I couldn't. And then we process why that happened and like different and how other teams had different outcomes. I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting because of you get to get some really immediate feedback, and then you get to bounce off ideas from other teams who made different decisions and kind of what their outcomes were, and it's all it all builds upon each other. So like the one first decision you make and then the last decision you make, they all just start stacking on top of each other. So you're going to learn a lot throughout the simulations for sure.
I remember when, we're given like a break, a 10-minute break in between rounds of play. And, myself and my other teammates were like all texting each other and like, okay, what are we going to do when we get back from the break? Because we want to make sure that we start off this next quarter like on the right foot. And, like the 4 hours when you do the sim goes by so fast because you don't want to miss a minute of it. So I would run upstairs, grab something to eat, run back. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I gotta get back because you get so into it, you're so engaged, and you really feel like, okay, I'm the VP of marketing or I'm the, the CEO for this round, and you take it super seriously. You want to do so well for your team, right? Um, yeah, so at the core is the simulation-based learning. I had no idea what a sim was until I joined the program, and now I've been lucky enough to watch this so many times, but you basically play with your team. Sometimes you're in a group of two, depending on the simulation. Sometimes you're in a group of four or more. And then after each round or quarter, if you will, of gameplay, you come out of breakout rooms, you come back into the main Zoom room with your, faculty member, and we rotate through faculty depending on the module, like Nathan just went over. They're experts in different areas, so we rotate through faculty. You come back in, you look at the data, you reflect on what just happened. Are we happy with the results? Are we not happy with the results? You can see how the other teams did. And then you go back into the game for the next quarter. It's always a secret how many quarters we're going to play because we don't want you to, know when the end is going to be. And then you apply what you learned. And it's just like these light bulbs go off. I know when I was in the program, and again, I'm, a teacher, so a little bit of my kids call me a try hard. I have my iPad and I was like taking notes. I mean, I still could pull up for you my notes on unit economics, my notes from all the different to this day because I still use them. Like I literally downloaded and still have all my stuff on my iPad and I go back to it quite often to look and learn. So I just can't say enough about the simulations because that is truly where the learning all comes together. Next thing I want to touch upon are the faculty members. So Ability has over, I would say, 150 faculty members. These are all actual senior leaders and executives in business across all different industries, all across the world. It's a global faculty. And they are literally there with you on the Zoom call for those 2 hour sessions and those 4 hour sessions. You are not left alone to do this on your own. It is an actual synchronous live call with faculty. Because our cohorts are small, 20 to 40 people max, you have an opportunity to ask questions. You could put questions in the chat. You could come off mute and raise your hand, ask a question. You will get an answer. Oftentimes they share their email with you, and you can reach out to them after the session and ask a question. They are so welcoming of everyone and all questions and ideas. They are top notch. I cannot say enough about the faculty. Again, Kyle, anything to add about your experience as you went through the different modules with different faculty members?
Yeah, I think one thing that stuck out to me was how approachable the faculty was and how much they were willing to communicate with you online, in the middle of it or just answering questions offline. And even afterwards, after the whole program was over, I still was connected with some of the faculty and they sent encouraging messages and things like that. So the faculty is really invested in your success and what you get out of the program. It behooves them to contribute as much as they can, and they want to see you grow and succeed. So don't feel afraid to approach the faculty, ask all the stupid questions that come into your head, because they will, validate where you're at and make sure that you are right on track to succeed in the way that you want to.
Absolutely. If you go on our website, 12weekmba.com, on that homepage, you can see, I think there's like at least three of our faculty members, little video clips that you can listen to. I think Valerie, there's one Valerie's doing on there. You can just go through and check them out. Again, these are folks, many of them have Ivy League degrees. They have been partners at large firms like McKinsey. They have real world experience and they bring that to the sessions. Regardless of what industry you are in, they can make the material relevant to what you are doing. I remember we once had a participant who was interviewing for a very big job at a very big company, and he wanted to make sure that this was a company that was growing and that if he was to take a role there, he would, basically be able to stay with this company and grow along with this company. And one of our faculty members, Alon, helped him sort of research this role. And it was just awesome to see how they kind of were talking with one another and they brought it into it was actually, we all benefited learning through this participant's experience. As he was researching this company that he was about to interview with, it was a great experience for all of us to learn alongside him. There's just so
Can
many
just jump
examples. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Nathan,
Gina,
jump
if I
in.
can just jump in on that, that's one of the most common items of feedback we get is how engaged the faculty are, and what they really do in the program is they are leveraging the questions that people bring and really having deep, deep discussions. So we have a set program, of course, that we're going through, but the discussions that I've seen unfold based purely on the questions that participants bring have been amazing and have really deepened the learning. And it's ways for participants to actually interact more, to leverage the expertise of each other as well as of the faculty. I also wanted to interrupt just because we had a question comes through. There was
Oh,
a question: do you play the simulations on your own? And that the answer would be a qualified no. These are team-based activities. It's really important to understand that when you're in this program, these are live sessions that happen where you are constantly with the faculty and with your peers, and the activities that we do are team-based. So the answer to the question, do you play the simulations on your own, is no, because they are multiplayer competitive activities and collaborative activities. You cooperate with your team, and I think Gina mentioned it could be two people, it could be five people, and then you compete against the other teams. The one qualification to that is that one of the simulations we do have an option for you to practice on it as a single player, and that's sort of optional homework you can do, which many people actually quite enjoy doing because they can do the competition on their own against a set of AI challengers.
yeah, absolutely. No, that was a great information. And again, the Global Alumni Network, it's like anything in life, right? The more you put in to this program, the more you get out of it. So there is a learning portal, which is it houses not only the directory of everyone who will be in your cohort, it'll have their LinkedIn, it'll have their email address. This is also the learning portal is where all the materials live, where the Zoom links are to join the session. So everything's super organized, right? One click and there you are. Everything's right there at your fingertips. But right from the start, I highly recommend go ahead and connect with everybody in the cohort, including the faculty on LinkedIn, and then interact with them, get to know them. I can't tell you how many times over the course of a day I'll check my LinkedIn and I'll see someone who was in my cohort or in another cohort, celebrate them on LinkedIn and learn from their successes. It's amazing how you will grow your network. And I think that's probably, we all keep hearing when you're job searching and things like that, the number one way to get to a new role is through your network. It's very hard to get through those, firewalls and all the AI blocked this and that. But if you have a network that knows you and knows who you are, that is a huge, huge advantage in this new world that we are now finding ourselves in. These are just some of the companies where our alumni work. I mean, we could probably have 6 slides like this. There's so many, hundreds and hundreds of alum, but Coca-Cola, we've seen that one before, Meta, Pfizer, GE, Google, the Red Cross. We had people from nonprofit companies, from for-profit companies, from education, from the military. I can remember quite a few doctors who have come through because they have a medical degree but no business background, and now they find themselves running their own practice. Lawyers who have come through the program. You name it, every single person has found value in what we do here. These are some alumni testimonials. Again, if you go on our website, you can go to the alumni page and you'll see some of our alumni sharing what they've learned. It's just fascinating to see where everyone is joining us from. That's the part I think I love the most about the program, or all the different people that we get to meet. Okay, let's talk about the schedule for a minute. So in February, when this spring cohort kicks off, we will be meeting on Wednesdays for 2 hours. Everything is in the Eastern time zone, so please do pay attention to the time when you're looking at this. 12:30 to 2:30 on Wednesdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. We do take attendance simply because it's important that you are there. Now, we require you to be at 80% of all the sessions. Nathan's going to talk about this a little bit more. It is important that you're there because it's so interactive, and you will be part of a team, especially on those 4-hour Fridays. We do record on Wednesdays because on Wednesdays you're doing those AI enabled cases where you and your teammate are talking to AI characters. So it's more of a case study session with our faculty. So we can record those, but it's very hard to record on Fridays because you're coming in and out of breakout rooms with your team, and it's very hard to get a good recording. So again, when you look at your schedule, please, please take into account we need you to be with us. This is not asynchronous, you're on your own. This is you're with the team and the team is counting on you. Nathan, anything to add to the schedule piece of this?
No, it's just to really understand the magic of the program happens in those sessions. It is the live instruction, and I mean, Gina mentioned it already. We offer a certificate at the end, and one of the criteria, just one, but an important one, is attendance in those sessions. So 80% of those sessions. There is outside work that happens as well, some homework, if you will, some self-study, some self-paced things. But this is not a MOOC. This is a program where you attend and you interact in those 2 and 4 hour sessions on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah, what you're looking at here is the digital badge that you will receive. Most people will post it on their LinkedIn, and then you can add it to the licenses and certifications section of your LinkedIn page. If you're familiar with Credly, when an employer or future employer clicks on that badge, they'll be brought to a page that describes exactly what you did in the program, and you earn that at the very end. I do want Nathan to hop back on if you could
Oh,
again,
we
just like
sorry. Yeah, we just because we had a question
oh,
come in. Somebody
yeah,
asked
yeah.
how large are the cohorts. I think Gina, you mentioned that, but we try to keep them small so that the interactions are actually valuable. They are 20 to 40 people usually, and anything beyond that, if we had a lot of signups, what we would do is split the cohorts and have 2 separate ones going on, or multiple separate ones going on at the same time. So we try to keep it small, intimate, so that those discussions actually are valuable in and of themselves, and that you can actually build relationships with your peers over that time.
Perfect. And Nathan, do you want to talk a little bit about this group project?
Yeah, absolutely. So the criteria for getting that certificate are the attendance, as I mentioned, but we also have 2 other components. One is that there is a group project that we do towards the end of the session. In fact, you present out that group project in the graduation session, which is I forget which date it is. I think that will come up in a second here, but it's the final Friday of those Friday 4-hour sessions. So we have everybody present out their group projects. The group project is really a way of kind of pulling together everything that you've learned along the way. It is focused on the idea of looking at real world companies and analyzing them and kind of making a prediction about how they will perform in the future, as though you were making a recommendation for a stock purchase. Now, the program is not about how you value companies, and it's not intended to make you a stock trader. But all of the ideas that we explore are really about understanding what makes companies work, what makes them successful, what makes you successful as a manager in the company. And so it's a great exercise to pull a lot of those threads together. We give you some options to choose from. We've actually also had some wonderful suggestions come from participants as well, and we that actually keeps it quite fresh for us as faculty also. And there's some prep time with involved in that. So the final weeks of the program are partially dedicated to you getting time to meet with a team of your choosing based on your preferences for what kind of industry you want to look at. The final weeks then are dedicated to working on that and then preparing the presentation with some guidance from some of our faculty. And then the graduation ceremony happens after everybody has successfully reported out their group projects. We have a kind of a panel that then also grills you as you report out. So it's not just do your presentation and then everybody claps. It's also we come up with difficult questions, make sure you've really thought through your analysis and have incorporated a lot of the learning of the program along the way. So that happens though on the last formal day. And we have a third criterion though. We actually have a one-on-one interview at the very, very end, after the 12 weeks have gone by. We can be somewhat free in scheduling that because it's a one-on-one conversation. But we do a final interview with a faculty member or one of our alumni, and we give you some questions that you can prepare. But then we have a conversation. It's not quite an oral examination, or we don't really want to think of it quite that way because it can go back and forth. You can also ask questions and it just can be a discussion, but it's around key topics, key learnings from the program, and we have an interesting discussion based on that. And if you complete all three of these criteria, that's when you are awarded the credential.
Awesome. I remember really being pleasantly surprised at how much contact I did have with our faculty. Like I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that for an online program. And I was just so happy that's so pleased that is what we are able to provide is this real live human contact. It's wonderful. Um, Let's talk about the pricing. So right now it is set the tuition at $23.50. If any of you have gone onto the website, you do fill out an application. We ask you to share either your LinkedIn profile or your CV, and we do review your, profile to see if you are a good fit for the program. But beyond that, you'll leave the $50 application fee. We will reach out to schedule a time just to have a quick conversation with you. We want to make sure you know what you're getting involved in and that you have the space and the time in your life to do this, this spring. If not, of course, we have a fall cohort that we also run, but we want to make sure it's a mutual fit for everyone so that everyone gets the best experience out of the program. And then, we once everything is up and running, we get you into the learning portal so that you have access to the schedule and you can start to look over some of the materials. But it's all laid out for you so that you don't have to second guess, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And of course, at any time, you can reach out and email us at 12weekmba@abilitie.com, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about the program. It will most likely be myself answering you, replying to your emails. And so I welcome that. Oh, I went the wrong way. Here we go. Tuition assistance. So many employers, as you know, will offer a stipend for, any kind of educational program certification. I know years ago I went and did my PMP and I was able to get a stipend to do so. So we do encourage you, reach out to your employer. Are they willing to give you some money towards this? And if so, you can go on our website. We have on our FAQ page, if you scroll down, you'll see there's a sample letter that you can use to help, submit your request to your employer.
So you can just jump on that. A couple things.
Yes.
Actually, that letter is right there with the application form,
Oh,
right above the application form, so you can get it there as well. In our experience, like at least 50% of the participants that come in get some amount, and in many cases, the entire amount funded by their employers. There was another question that came in along the way. What happens when you miss a class? Very
mhm.
good question. So with that 80% requirement, we have it that way because we also know life happens. There's chances are that some kind of emergency or unplanned thing will happen, and people do miss classes to some degree. What we do is we provide recordings of some of the sessions or some parts of the sessions, and the reason I qualify it that way is one. The recordings really are there for like those emergencies. Um, since a lot of what actually happens, even in the 2 hour sessions, is going to be very much based on interactions, breakout sessions, and so forth. And those just technologically don't record, but it's also not terribly helpful to after the fact watch a bunch of people make decisions in a business simulation. So to the extent that we can, we provide the recordings, we provide the slides after the fact so you can get caught up. And as Gina mentioned, our faculty is also really like happy to answer questions if you've missed something. But that's why we have the 80% requirement, and then we have those supports in place should you miss anything. And another question that came in was how does the application process work? Again, what we'll actually do immediately after this is send you a direct page to the application page. That way, if you're interested, you got it very cleanly right ready to go. And again, what you do is you apply. There is the application fee of $50, just to emphasize if for any reason we couldn't accept you to the program because maybe we had to, the program was too full or anything, we would refund that. And then contingent on the acceptance, which is based on the profile you send, you can send a CV or preferentially your LinkedIn profile. We would then schedule a quick interview process as well. And then after that, we would send you a simple payment link and then get you enrolled in the program. Um, there's another question just came through. Are the experiential learning days every single Friday for the 4 hours, all 12 weeks? Essentially, yes. And to be clear, even the 2 hour programs, 2 hour sessions have a lot of experiential components. They are also built around activities, just smaller scale activities that are also experiential, often involve you working with one or two other people in breakout sessions. So we're actually very dedicated to that experiential methodology throughout. The bigger more complex simulations are typically run in the 4 hour Fridays, although there are exceptions also where we, on a given Friday, might actually use the 4 hours to go, deep dive on something really complex like financial analysis and business plans and things like that. So, generally speaking, though, yes, the 4 hour Fridays are happen every single week, and that's where the most complex experiential components occur.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just want to call out. So this program, this one, oh, it should say 2026. Apologies there. The registration deadline is February 13th. We kick off on the 25th, and then we graduate on May 8th. And at that graduation is when the groups will do their project presentation. So every group will get a chance to do a, 7 to 8 minute presentation. And then the board of faculty who is there will sort of give you some feedback, ask you some questions, and then we move through the day and we wrap up with a graduation at the end. It's a really fun day. We try to get some fun photos for everyone. It's a great day. Let me show you this slide. If you have your cell phone nearby, you can open up your camera app and scan that QR code. That will bring you to our application page, I believe, where you can, just see what the form is asking of you. And like Nathan said, once we get that application from you, we will review it and email you immediately thereafter to set up a time to meet with us. Um, here at the 12-week MBA. I feel like it's such a welcoming place for absolutely anyone. We have had people who thought they want to go do an MBA, but they thought they'd try this out first. And some people do go on to pursue a full MBA at an accredited college, and some people feel like, you know what, this certification, along with the other education I've received, is enough. So for Kyle and myself, we didn't need the full-blown MBA, and it didn't hurt us in any way. We were still able to go on in our careers and do the things that we've done. I just really feel very lucky to be part of this program and with the wonderful people that come through, the faculty, the participants, the people here at Ability. And just to kind of leave you with this, education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of a fire. I remember, my family members, my high school kids saying to me, like, Mom, I cannot even understand what you're talking about. Because when I was playing The Sim, you would have thought that I was the CEO of that company. The way I was able to follow along and participate and put it all together. Like, Kyle, any like parting words from you, like things that really just you want to pass along to anyone who's thinking about joining?
Absolutely. I think just like it was said, the real education that happens and the learning comes in the collaboration and engaging with your colleagues and the faculty live. It's a big commitment. There's a time commitment that you have away from your family, from your job, but it's well worth it. You're not going to want to miss anything because you're going to be heavily engaged in the experience. But also don't be afraid to engage to your fullest potential. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to look silly in your mind if you're worried about that, because that's where all the learning happens. If you are taking a back seat, you're not engaged, you are just a passive learner, you will get something out of the program, no doubt. But will you get everything out of it? No. And I think that's the thing that I want to challenge everyone who's part of this is to give 100%, make mistakes, learn by falling forward, right? And you'll get the most out of this program from that.
Love that. Kyle, that's so well said. Nathan, I want to give you the opportunity to close this out. I know we're at time and I can stick around and answer questions if anybody has more, but Nathan, if you could close us out, that would be great.
Me too. So thank you all for participating. Please do not hesitate to ask any further questions. I think you saw the email the address that Gina shared that actually goes to all of us. Any of us might jump on it. We're really excited to welcome you into the program. And it's from my perspective, I've actually only been involved for the past 1.5 years directly in the program because I've been working more on our corporate side, and it's just been an utter pleasure to participate and be able to follow on also with the many alumni who's have been touched by this program, just to keep in touch with them and see how their careers have evolved. It's really an exciting thing to be part of. So I look forward to working.